So, if you've not watched, this is part 2. Taking a break. Got a new drink. Had a cigarette. Got some ready. Let's crack on. So I stopped at that I was in hospital for the second time since the initial operation. My bladder still wasn't working correctly, nor was my bowel. Couldn't come up with anything. X-rays were clear. It was showing I was constipated, but that was it. As I said, the weekend I was in after the second retention issue. My specialist was off, so the catheter, they came round after I'd had all the sickness and fluids, and I was finally eating, and I was just desperate to get home. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, and I really, really wished I'd listened to my mum. Now, I said I would do these videos no matter what. I have had a busy couple of days, which has made everything in circle as I go on to explain, exacerbate and start again. So number one, since every day I've been in pain, that there's not a day that doesn't go by that I'm not in pain. But this is so much stronger than you think, that what you're going through, or what your family members are going through, or child, trust me, it's horrible to watch, but there is hope. That's why I'm doing these. I've said it a million times. Awareness is so important. Anyway, my mum and dad come in, and the specialist comes, consultant, again, gynecology, maybe a few other consultants, and they said that they were going to send me home for the weekend, because with the catheter in tow, urethral catheter in tow, now I dealt with lead bags every day, so to me, although I had one, it was horrible, but I was like, look Mum, I can deal with wetting, I can deal with the bypassing, I can deal with the spasms myself, you're not going to have to do a thing. My dad agreed with me in somewhat. My mum went ballistic as a mother and said there is still no reason, there is still no diagnosis, and you want to go home with a catheter. At this point, I'm thinking, Mum, just let me come home. So, after deep discussions and our heated discussions, and talking to the doctors and nurses, they said that because it was the weekend, my consultant wasn't in till Monday, again my gynecologist. So there was nothing that they could do until then. Still very early days, been a couple of weeks now. So I wish I'd listened to my mum, and that will be explained. But I didn't, and I went home that night with a catheter, with a meeting to be seen by my consultant on the Monday. So Friday, following day, when I wake up at home, I have to ring the number that's been given for the district nurses. Now, I used to work with district nurses, so that was weird. They came, gave me a starter pack, night bags, things like that. I will explain that. So that's a leg bag. Okay, it just sits on the tube that's connected and drains as a normal bladder would. It's got 500 mils, but you're not really to get to the top. You need to empty it. It's kind of around here. It's the better, healthier thing to do. You got your night bags. Now I have drainable ones because I drink a lot, especially throughout the night, and it's important to drink a lot with catheters because they pinch otherwise, and I remember that pinching pain. Oh my days, it's not nice, it's not good. And not only that, the smell, something else, especially if you're managing to be able to do it yourself or etc. So that's that. You also have things called stat locks, as well as 2 straps. I have to have 2 creams for the bag that on your leg needs to be changed by yourself, or district nurses if you can't manage it, or your parents. And stat locks are something that holds the catheter in place, the tubing, because if you think about the bag, 500 ml is very heavy. You don't want it pulling from your urethra. And I already know this, but it does get explained to you by nurses, and the district nurses will come regularly, and there's bladder and bowel teams and etc. Lots of courses that they will help you with that. Still, so I went home, shown this on the Friday. My mum and dad's, who had recently got back together after a long time apart, were in their honeymoon period, if you want to call it. We all were, but at the same time, we were just thinking, I'm going to be sorted in a couple days, it'll be fine. 11.5 months later, after many outpatient appointments, every test I can think of, I'm still with a catheter, laxatives, bowel tablets, trying home remedies, but other stuff had started to happen. My stomach was spasming really badly. When I had trouble with the catheters, they were having to use gas and air every time to open my sphincter to put it straight in, draining 1.5 litres, 2 litres, etc. Then would go into my bladder would go into spasm even more. Constant blockages. When district nurses came to me, they couldn't catheterize me, which is hardly surprising from the first story I told you about hospital and A&E. So, I'm still thinking, whoa, 11.5 months. By this point, I'm getting 3 monthly sick notes repeatedly from my GP, really supportive. What's going on? Need to get to the bottom of this. So in December of 2013, me and my mum go and see my gynecologist, who has taken it upon himself for me to be under his wing, because that's where the initial operation has come from, and contact various other people and say, right, I really am going to have to pass this on to Gastro-Enterology, which is to do with the bowel and the gut system, because of the size of my stomach all the time, the pain, the constipation, the laxatives, etc. So I was put on maximum of 8 Laxido sachets a day. They were doing nothing. I was changing my diet. Wasn't eating any rubbish. And then my mum said quite clearly, and had said to me, and I was in agreement, that they needed to get me into hospital for 3 days to do what's called a TWOC. This is a trial without catheter. So they monitor you, and you have to produce a certain amount of volumes of water 3 times of urine, and then you're in the clear and all is good. So the morning of the 27th or 24th of January comes, I go with my letter to the inpatient ward, and immediately then they haven't got a clue who I am, why I'm there, nothing on record. So I get told to go away for an hour and come back. Again, it was communication, and the message hadn't been passed on. Then they'd found me in bed, all was good, I was back in the ward. So I was in gynecology, because that was the initial problem, so they're thinking, well, it's got to be somewhere. The 3 days turned into 109 days. Yes, I digress. 109 days, 4 months. So I was discharged in the middle of May 2014 with no diagnosis still, worse off than I was. I went in at 9 stone, and then after the 109 days, I'm 13.9 stone. I'm on way more medications, ridiculous amounts, and me, my mum and my dad were planning to move to the Republic of Ireland. My dad's half Irish, for job opportunities for him, for me, and for a new life and beginning, a fresh start, because we just wanted to go. We planned this before my operation, during my time at home, which was really frustrating because I couldn't work, I couldn't drive, I couldn't do my caring job, infection control wise, health and safety wise, every medication and things that were going wrong, no. So anyway, I then get told August 2014, my mum and dad had the house we were renting sold from underneath them. They had to leave me behind, thinking she'll be with us in 6 months. And they'd already seen me go through so much. I even had a PA ring me and say, "Hi, is this Miss Stoddart?" Yes. Can you attend an appointment at such and such hospital tomorrow? Well, seeing as I'm an inpatient, yeah, I can. They kept sending a chronic pain nurse into me. I didn't have any pain before the operation, but yet then when I wake up, during this 109-day stay, my whole left side is doing things that my mum had noticed, and it got worse and was really affecting my bladder as well. It was causing bladder problems. I was in and out of hospital constantly, spasming, jerking like I had Parkinson's. I couldn't even get a spoon to my mouth, flicking food. Wasn't great at all, and my bowel wasn't moving 18 days at a time. Enemas weren't working, laxatives weren't working. The strongest laxative, Picolax, they used for colonoscopies wasn't even doing anything. With doctors really, really confused. Seeing my shaking on my left side, my weakness then happening. I was very mobile, so I was walking around all the time, on and off ward. Most days, spent most of the day off ward. Would just go back for meds and lunches and dinners. That was hard. I lost myself in hospital, to be honest. And I got post-traumatic stress from it, I found out last year. The nurses were superb. Superb. They had to deal with my emotions, how I was reacting to news, the medications I was put on, questions from my mum and dad, questions from me. I had to make my mother my head of care because the medications I was on, I couldn't even think. I didn't even know my name at one point. Then they have a meeting. It's decided to clear me out completely. They're going to do another cystoscopy, which is a camera into the bowel. They also wanted to do a test for slow transition bowel. So I took tablets over 3 days that have shapes that show up on X-ray in them. Now, if it's all good, they're at the bottom of the intestines, ready to come out through the bowel. There was a couple at the bottom, and the rest were all bunched together at the top. So, my mobility starts being affected. My mood, I'm not me, I'm not this person talking now. I'm a stranger to my parents. I gave up. I got called a drug addict, still do. Even though I'm not on any of the meds that I was on before. But freedom of speech, eh? It was in my head. I needed antidepressants and then I'd be able to walk. I was pulling out the catheters myself. What else? Pretty much every accusation you can think of. And no disrespect to mental health out there, they were saying I had a mental health issue and needed a psychiatric assessment. My auntie's an ex-psychiatric ward manager and nurse, so she would have known more than anyone. So would my mum and dad. They knew my personality. My mum played them a video of me dancing a week before the operation. It was fine. Absolutely fine. Again, we still got don't knows. Could be this, could be that, could be this, could be that. We're going to send to this, we're going to send to that. That went on for 109 days and still went on when I was discharged home with a plan in the same condition, but worse off than I was when I went in. Luckily, my GP I've had for a long time. Excuse me. I need a little break. There will be a part 3. Sorry. You've got to get this out. It's important.